Indianapolis firemen are being investigated for illegally selling drugs and stolen goods. Police Chief Joseph McAtee says his department's crime action team and the prosecutor are still reviewing the case.
We don't know yet what the disposition will be, if they will be sent to the grand jury or if they will be charged, or exactly what the evidence is. But the prosecutor's office is involved, and we think that will be their determination to make.
The firemen's names are being withheld until the investigation is completed. They're still on the job, and it's reported at least one of the firemen is cooperating with investigators.
5 persons were hurt slightly this morning when a faulty valve on a storage tank caused a chlorine spill on the city's far southwest side. Officials say workers were testing 2 tanks at the wastewater treatment plant on Southport Road when the accident happened.
They were weighing 2 cylinders, had pressure on them. It is a low pressure side, and this valve somehow malfunctioned and did pop off.
4 workers at the facility and 1 Perry Township fireman were injured, however, none seriously. Tanner says only a small amount of the gas escaped, and most of that was contained within the building. He says area residents were not in any danger because the wind helped dissipate what chlorine did get outside.
We have had a slight breeze, which saved us a lot of problems. There was no cloud formation, which is something you have to really be careful with in a chlorine leak.
That chlorine is stored in 1-ton cylinders at the plant. It's used as a disinfectant for purifying the city's water. However, officials say this morning's leak does not present any danger to our water supply. The incident is now being investigated by the EPA. Jim Murphy, 59 Headline News.
20-year-old Ronald Whitehead has been found guilty of the 1980 murder of a pregnant South Bend Tribune newspaper reporter. Mary Collins Kretschmar was found strangled in the Mishawaka office of the newspaper. It took a LaGrange Circuit Court jury about 5 hours to convict Whitehead, who was a janitor at the newspaper office. He'll be sentenced next month. The chairman of the state's Public Service Commission has pleaded guilty to a drunk driving charge. William Montgomery was arrested in May after a 2-car accident near Frankfort. In a plea agreement, a judge in Frankfort fined Montgomery $150 and suspended his driver's license for 30 days. Montgomery was also slapped with a 180-day probationary sentence. Tonight, an Indianapolis man has been charged with reckless homicide and causing the death of a person while driving under the influence. Marvin Price is charged in the May death of 43-year-old Richard Ahrens of Paragon. Ahrens was on his way to work at Weiss's Deli, which he owned, when he was hit head-on by Price's van. Blood alcohol tests showed Price's alcohol level at .246, which is well above the legal limit. The mayor of Shelbyville has appointed a committee to study whether the town's residents can force Indiana City's Water Corporation to clean up their water. Residents have been using unusual tasting and discolored water since October. Last winter, some Shelbyville wells were found to be contaminated with chemicals. The chemical cleanup is underway, but Mayor Dan Theobald says the Water Corporation has not pinpointed the source of the other contamination and has done little to correct the situation. However, the Water Corporation says it installed new filters 2 weeks ago, and the water should improve soon. Some big changes may be in store for downtown Indianapolis. City officials are studying a plan to create a plaza in the block between the Hoosier Dome and Union Station. The area would contain a parking garage, trees, fountains, and a pedestrian mall. The idea is only in the preliminary stages, and officials don't know how much it would cost. Meanwhile, the F.C. Tucker Company is making final plans to renovate the downtown Hilton Hotel. Tucker says it's going to upgrade the hotel to what it calls a first-class facility. Tucker runs the hotel for the Hilton franchise. Indianapolis is not the only city considering a controversial anti-pornography law. The mayor of Minneapolis tonight has vetoed a similar bill passed by that city's council. The ordinance defined pornography as a violation of a woman's civil rights, much the same as the Indianapolis bill. The Minneapolis mayor said the ordinance posed constitutional questions and could have led to a costly court fight. Indianapolis's bill is waiting a court challenge right now. Walter Mondale and Geraldine Ferraro spent their first day together on the campaign trail today. The two were on the stump in Mondale's hometown of Elmore, Minnesota. Vice President George Bush sent Ferraro a note of congratulations today and accepted her challenge to a debate. Mondale and Ferraro head for the Democratic convention on Monday. Meanwhile, President Reagan says Mondale's choice of Ferraro does not necessarily mean the Democratic Party represents the best interests of women. He says there will be a female Republican president someday who has moved up through the party's ranks by merit. Although the remark appears to be a slap at Ferraro, Reagan did not criticize her by name.
The willows of Crooked Creek, it's a life worth living. The willows of Crooked Creek, a place where dreams can grow. The style of life you're looking for is now within your reach. The willows of Crooked Creek.
2 miles west of Meridian on 71st Street.
I'm not being lazy. I am demonstrating the custom-built Contour Chair Lounge to you. Look at Contour's special body-conforming shape. See how your head, back, legs, and feet are always supported? Contour was designed with the help of an orthopedic surgeon to cradle you in comfort, just like astronauts' chairs do. Most ordinary chairs force your weight onto your hips, pinch off circulation, and cause muscle strain and discomfort. But Contour is different. It's custom built to your exact body specifications. That's why it's so amazingly comfortable. And Contour adjusts. You can raise your legs above your heart or sit fully upright at the touch of a button. Get this free catalog that describes the Contour Chair Lounge. Call the toll-free number to get your free catalog by mail, no obligation.
Call 1-800-228-8300 toll-free, 1-800-228-8300. Call 1-800-228-8300 toll-free, 1-800-228-8300.
Scratcher, please.
There is a relatively new surgical technique being performed in Indianapolis, which eliminates the need for conventional chemotherapy on liver cancer patients. Dr. Rama Jager of Community Hospital performed the technique today. The patient had cancer of the colon, which had spread to the liver. Under normal circumstances, she would have undergone painful chemotherapy treatments. She would have suffered nausea and hair loss and would have spent 1 week a month in the hospital. But instead, Dr. Jager suggested implanting an infusion pump inside a pocket in her abdomen. The pump, which is about the size of a hockey puck, is attached to a plastic catheter, which in turn is inserted into the artery leading to the liver. The chemotherapy drugs are injected into the catheter, which then takes the drugs directly to the liver. And the advantages are many.
She need not stay in the hospital after this operation is over. She can come to the hospital or doctor's office every 2 weeks and have the pump filled. The second advantage is she doesn't have as many side effects like hair loss, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and that type of symptoms, mainly because the drug is just going to the liver and not to her general body.
Dr. Jager adds that the drugs are much more effective this way. In fact, the response rate increases from 20% for conventional chemotherapy to as much as 80% for the infusion pump. Elizabeth Shinneman is living proof of what the technique means to not only longevity, but the quality of life.
And I had decided I didn't want to really live if this was the way I was going to live. So I had told them I wasn't going to take any more. And they told me then about the pump. We had it put in September, and 2 weeks later, when I got out of the hospital, I was taking classes at Ball State, and I went back and finished getting my master's and graduated in November.
That's wonderful.
So you see, it didn't slow me down much, and I went to Hawaii.
Ann Craig, 59 Headline News.
Indiana's medical malpractice laws will likely undergo some changes in the next session of the Indiana General Assembly. Today, a legislative study committee decided some fine-tuning of the state's malpractice statute is necessary.
There's a problem with the solvency of the fund for the patient's compensation fund, which makes most of the major payments. That has resulted in an increase in insurance premiums, a surcharge on the insurance premiums, which went from originally 10% to now 50%. And there's some discussion that even that might not be sufficient enough.
Manweiler says there's also a problem with the current excess liability provision in the statute because the limit is $500,000, which because of inflation is not enough to cover claims in 1984.
Here's Dean McFarland, president of Melody Homes.
Hi, I'm here at Coventry Woods, just east of Georgetown Road on 52nd Street. We're building a